All right, so get ready to have a fun time as a leader. Be prepared to learn new things. I really want to emphasize this up front, especially when it comes to the online tools. So a big way of how we're organized is equipping all the volunteers to actually be doing things themselves on the website, for the signups, on the calendars, on the for the PAC library. It's new for a lot of people, and we try to make the resources available so you can learn it and you can participate with it. So don't be afraid. Jump in there, ask questions. We can all do this together. And also, most importantly, thank you for being willing to get involved and to help the PAC go. All right, so first of all, for those of you that are not aware, we're part of a local structure when it comes to scouting. So the top level of the local organization is the Pennsylvania Dutch Council, all right, and that covers all of Lancaster and Lebanon counties. Now, within the council, there are 3 districts. We are part of the Horseshoe Trail District, which is northern Lancaster County plus Lebanon County. There's also the Harvest District and the Conestoga River District. Okay, so so when you go to Roundtable, the first Thursday of the month, that is our district. That is everybody. That's why it's up in Lebanon. Because it is the Horseshoe Trail Council and the events that we do and are associated at that council level. And then our chartering organization is obviously St. Paul's Church. And as the chartering organization within the BSA, that is who we are responsible to. So even though we're supported by the council, we report to the chartering organization. And that's really important to understand, especially when it comes to making sure that we're taking great care of the facilities. We have no cost in using all the space here. We need to leave things the way that we found them, emphasize that to the scouts, emphasize it to the parents, leave no trace. All right, so the pack and den structure looks like this. At the very top of the pack structure, we've got the Cub Master. And beneath the Cub Master, we have 1 or more assistant Cub Masters. And then beneath them, we've got the Lion Guide and then the den leaders for all the various dens: Tiger, Wolf, Bear, Weeblo 1, Weeblo 2. All of these positions, and then there's assistant den leaders as well. All of these positions are uniform positions, meaning they should be wearing the khaki shirt with the appropriate patches, etc. The PAC committee structure looks like this. At the very top, we've got the committee chair. And beneath the committee chair, it can be 1 or more assistants. The PAC trainer, who's responsible for making sure that everybody that's in leadership gets the official BSA and local training that they need. And then the volunteer chair, who's also making sure people get plugged into the right places and we get all the parents involved. Now, something we do in PAC 44 is we ask every parent to help the PAC go in at least one way during the year. So it can either be sitting on the PAC structure, the committee structure, or helping out with 1 or more events. And the volunteer chair helps to get people plugged in based on their skills, based on their giftings, based on their passion to help the PAC go, and so that we can have a phenomenal experience for the boys and for the adults. Beneath the committee chair, then we've got a number of different roles based on the things that are required for the PAC. So treasurer, secretary, advancement chair, recruiting chair, webmaster. Now, that's sort of all of the making the PAC go structure. Then we've got all of our events, and those fall underneath chairs that are specific to the event. So events chair, outdoor activity chair, service chair, and fundraising chair. And the specific events that they're over are shown here on the slide. And the committee chair and the assistant are uniform positions. Everybody else is encouraged to wear a uniform, but it's not required. So just a quick plug for youth protection training. Everybody that is in leadership is required to go through youth protection training. In fact, we ask and require all parents to go through youth protection training, and part of it is to make it easier for them to serve in leadership. This is a 25-minute online training. It's very quick, and it makes it very obvious for how leaders should be behaving and interacting with boys and what parents can expect and what we should expect of the parents as well. Okay, so the youth protection training is good for 2 years. And any leaders that are registered with the council, it'll actually show up in the leadership in the training report, and we can't be rechartered if we've got registered leaders who are out of date on their youth protection training. So log into my.scouting.org, check out the date. If you have any questions, ask the PAC trainer. If she doesn't know, she'll ask Ryan or myself, and we will help make sure that you guys keep your training up to date. The youth protection is really important. The youth protection is really important because of what it means for the boys having a consistent base. So and everybody being on the same page. For those of you that are not aware, there was actually a youth protection incident at one of the troops, not our troop, but it was a troop in Lititz a couple years ago that involved the police and court time and all of that in terms of an assistant leader inappropriate contact with a boy. So it is really important that everybody's on the same page. We take it seriously. We keep each other accountable. No one-on-one contact, too deep leadership, etc. Uniform. Any boy-facing positions, that's a requirement. The shirt is required. Other pieces are optional. We were at Scout events. It's available at the Scout shop. A great quote from Robert Baden-Powell, who is the founder of the BSA. Show me a poorly uniformed troop, and I'll show you a poorly uniformed leader. So it's something to set a good example for. I am going through these rather quickly because I want to get to some of the nuts and bolts of how we do some of the online stuff. PAC communication. It's the responsibility of all the PAC leadership to make sure the PAC families are able to find the information that they need. So we have a portfolio of tools that we use to get the information out there, keep it available, get people access to the information. And this is what we're going to go through in the next half dozen slides. All right, so first of all, there's the PAC family email. So we use Google Groups for that. So Ryan, the committee chair, sends out a weekly update with reminders, upcoming events, etc. Everybody associated with the PAC is on that email. We've got a PAC website, which is edited through Google Sites. We have the various PAC calendars, which are hosted through Google Calendar. Our PAC library, which is Google Drive. Then we've got position event email aliases, which is through our domain provider name silo. Event signups, we use Google Forms. And then an important piece of communication is the PAC parent handbook, which is really important to make sure that we've got all of the information in there up to date, and so parents have a good place to start. We use a lot of technology, but we really try hard to equip all the leaders to learn and use that technology. So I'm going to put a plug in then for the leader handbook. The PAC 44 leader handbook has all the helpful details for being a leader. And the details are in there in terms of how to do things like edit the website, how to update the PAC calendars, how to set up a Google form. There's all of the details in terms of technology are in that handbook. So you really need to read it if you haven't already, and then refer back to it when you're trying to remember how to do something. So make sure to read the handbook, as I mentioned, I think 4 times on the slide, and let us know if you have any questions, if there are things that are out of alignment or not enough detail or are confusing or maybe are out of date. All right, so role-specific handbook. So in the PAC library, under the leader restricted access area, under leadership, there is a folder that says role-specific handbooks. All of you should have gotten an email from me that says, welcome to your role. I think this was in July I sent them out. Welcome to your role. Here's your handbook. I hope there's good information in there. If there's not, please make sure that it gets in there. This is something we started about a year ago. And for some roles, it's been updated by the person that held the position, and some it has not. And it's the responsibility of all of you and all of us to get the information that's useful for doing the activities, ongoing responsibilities as well as one-time responsibilities, the details into that handbook. If you hold the position for several years, it makes it so much easier for you next year to do the same thing again. And then when you turn over the position to someone else, it makes it so much easier for you to actually turn over the position and help the person to feel equipped in what they're doing. Okay? So learn from it, improve it, and add to it. And please leave it better than you found it. All right, so let's start at the very top. Our Google groups. We actually have 3 Google groups that are set up. There's the PAC 44 leadership group, the PAC 44 families group, the PAC 44 archive group. Now, the webmaster takes care of all of these and making sure people are added, but we need to notify the webmaster. So, for instance, Jim, as a recruiting chair, when we get new families come in, there's a checklist that says, have they been added to the families list? And he emails the webmaster. The webmaster adds them in and sends out a welcome email. Similarly, for the new leaders. So I sent out, I made sure that the leaders were added to that list, the leadership list, and sent out a welcome email for when people joined the committee or joined as den leaders. These lists are very important because they control access to everything else that we're going to talk about. So if you're not on the right list, you're not going to have access. And so that's what has to be sorted out up front. PAC 44 archive is not something that most people have to deal with. Our PAC specific email aliases like Cubmaster, committee chair, recruiting, All of those, when an email gets sent to that address, it gets copied into the PAC-44 archive so that we've got a data mart, a history of Pinewood Derby, who set it up last year, when did we arrive, stuff like that. Questions and answers about popcorn, questions and answers with the advancement chair, treasurer, etc. So that's all in there. And so typically committee chair, cub master have access to that. Anybody wants access, just let us know. We don't typically give it to everybody because most people don't need to get access to it. But it's useful for the top PAC leadership in trying to go back and remember how things were done in the past. PAC website, pac44lititz.org. So anybody that is on the PAC44 leadership list can edit it. That's all of us. All right, so we can all make edits and changes to the website. And that means that everybody can take care of adding announcements to the homepage, updating their event pages, updating the high-level activity calendar and the links, etc. Event coordinators are expected to manage their own event pages. And so to the earlier question, so for event coordinators that are not on the committee, the chair is responsible for the website changes. And the reason for this is if somebody is just, say, running the Pinewood Derby, okay, they're not going to be added to the PAC-44 leadership list. Since they're not on the leadership list, they can't edit the website. They can create a sign-up form, but all the details on how to do that is in the leadership list. So we typically ask the chairperson in charge of events, outdoor activities, service, fundraising, to make sure that the pages of their responsibility are up to date. Because they're also, families can't add things to the PAC calendars. So that's really important for anybody that is a chair. So again, our 4 chairs are outdoor activity chair, events chair, service chair, and fundraising chair. All right, and those are the only people that actually have people beneath or working with them that wouldn't have access to do these things themselves. All right. All information pertaining to an event needs to be on the event page. This is something that I really need to emphasize very strongly. We don't want parents having to fish through emails. We don't want parents having to fish through texts. We don't want parents to try to remember notes that they wrote down during a PAC meeting. If they need to know it for the event, it needs to be on the event page. Time to show up, what to bring, what uniform, is it Class A or Class B? Any special details about parking or parental involvement, any of that stuff needs to be on the event page. Now, the great news is we've been doing this now for about 3 years. So those event pages have gotten a lot of information on them. And often all you have to do is go into the page and just change the date, maybe change the time. But a lot of the other details are the same. So it's really important that we put it there. Ryan will highlight some stuff in emails going out. The event coordinators may highlight stuff in emails, but anything you send in an email, make sure it's on the page. Does that make sense? Then that way everybody can know. And the parent training, I told them everything you should need to know should be on that page. So now the leaders know you need to put it on that page. All right. PAC calendars. So we use Google Calendars, and we've got 8 of them at this point. There's 8 different calendars. The families can subscribe and unsubscribe based on what age group their den is in. So there's a top-level PAC calendar that everybody should subscribe to. There's a leadership calendar that everybody here needs to be subscribed to. As a point, when we're talking about tentative activities, we'll often add it to the leadership calendar, and then once we confirm we're going to do it, we change it from leadership to PAC calendar. So that's one way that the leadership uses the calendar for collaboration and for trying to get things scheduled and sorted out. And then there's a calendar for every single den. Lion calendar, tiger calendar, wolf, bear, Weeblo 1, Weeblo 2. Okay? These calendars stay with that grade, not with the boys. Okay, so if your son is a wolf this year, next year you'll unsubscribe to the wolf calendar and subscribe to the bear calendar. And so as a den leader, if you're a wolf den leader, this year you're managing the wolf calendar. Next year you'll be managing the bear calendar. And that allows the den leaders to look back and see, okay, what did leaders that precede me do for their events? And it also means it's not confusing to have to go and change the names and then updating things in the leadership handbook every single year. So that's why we did it this way. Okay. In order to make changes on any of the calendars, the first thing that you have to do is add the calendar to your Google account. All right. And details for that are in the parent handbook. For everything we're doing, a Google account is required. A Google email is not. And there's details in the parent handbook of how to take any email, like a Yahoo email, Hotmail email, whatever, and associate it with a Google account. Once it's associated, then you can add the calendars, you can edit the calendars, you can edit the web page, you can get into the Google Drive. And so that is important for all the families because we keep stuff there the families need to get access to. So that is really, really important to make sure that you've got a Google account enabled. If you do not or have issues, let the webmaster know. Because of the fact that the Google calendars have edit rights to everybody on the leadership list, it's really, really important that you don't delete anything from the calendar unless you're supposed to. We had one issue with this for a couple months. I think it was with a leader that was actually leaving the pack and forgot to unsubscribe. If you want the calendar off, the events off of your calendar, you unsubscribe, you don't delete the events. If you delete the events, it deletes it off of everybody's phone, everybody's Outlook, etc. So make sure that when you're adding events on your phone, it's on your personal calendar, one of your personal calendars, if it's not meant to be a pack. But the great thing is that this also means that anybody is able to make changes as necessary when they're necessary. I think it was last year at Soccer Picture, I showed, was it Veronica, was it you? I showed how to update a pack calendar entry right there as the pictures were being taken for soccer. It's like, we got to make sure to get this date. Okay, look, this is how we do it. So most people have smartphones, or tablets. You can just make sure it's correct. And that goes back to that first slide that says, it is the responsibility of everybody in leadership to make sure the information we're pushing out to the pack and parents is correct and is up to date. And we can all partner together to make that happen and to make it really clear. All right, so and den leaders and event coordinators are expected to keep the calendars up to date for the things, for their dens or for their events. All right, pack library and Google Drive. So we have a Google Drive chunk that is our pack library. Anybody, it's set up in 3 sections. I've got it on the right-hand side here. So the 3 sections, there's the family access, the leader restricted access, and the public view access. The security is already set up properly on those sections. Nobody should ever have to touch security for anything in the pack library. All you have to do is put it in the right section. If it's something that should be visible to the entire world, which means it shouldn't include boys' last names, it shouldn't include any personal contact details, it's something that we just need to get out there, something like the pack handbook we make available so people know how to sign up and get access to the rest of this. That goes in the public section. So anybody without a Google account can view that. The family access is where we do things like signups, where we can share pictures. There's a whole, you can see the different sections that are in there. You have to be on the Pack 44 families list to have access to this. If somebody tries to get to something in here and they can't, then they are probably not signed up properly with a Google account on the family list. And so the webmaster can help to sort that out. And then the leader section, there's a lot of subfolders in there, but that's where we all live, right? Handbooks are in there. There's popcorn details, fundraising details, notes from these meetings, etc. Go in there, figure out what's there, figure out how to improve it. The easiest way to find things in here, use search. We try to set it up so that it is clear to understand, but it's also just quickest to type in parent handbook, hit search, and it'll come right up. Okay? Position event email aliases. Okay, so our pack44lititz.org domain is for our website, but we also have emails on there, like cubmaster@pack44lititz.org, popcorn@pack44lititz.org. All of those aliases are set up and managed by the webmaster, at least they will be when I figure out how to give him control over it. And they're what we encourage everybody to use for communication within leadership and within the families. The reason for that is you don't want to have to remember people's emails as they change. We want things to go into the Pack archive, and we want to make it quick and easy for parents to get access. One common area of confusion, dens like wolves at pack44lititz.org, does not go to all the families in the wolf den. It goes to all of the wolf leaders, den leaders and assistant leaders. So the den leaders are responsible for maintaining their own distribution list of the boys in their den that year. The pack44lititz.org emails go to the leadership of the wolves or the leadership of the bears, etc. Okay, and all of these emails are listed on the website. If you ever don't remember what it is, go to the website, left-hand side, go to leadership. They're listed there. We have a membership spreadsheet that's in the Pack calendar. Go to the Pack library and look for membership, Pack membership, and you'll find that year's and all the dens. We try to keep that up to date. We would like to move to Scout Book for that information at some point. We are just not there yet. So for now, look on that spreadsheet to see all of the current distributions for each den. Event signups. So we do everything with Google Forms for signing up for events. This means that we're able to get all the details right there, embed it. It gets embedded on the web page. We need to make sure to get contact details for the parents, preferred email and cell, etc. There is a template. There's, again, Pack, the leadership handbook tells exactly how to make these, including go here, take this template, make a copy, make your changes, okay? That way you're able to, from the template, get all of the key information in terms of the den and the contact details, etc. Then you add additional questions, like for the Scouting for Food one coming up, we'll ask, will you be there the first Saturday, the second Saturday, or both? And so that information. Something that's really, really important on this, there's several things that we're not doing consistently, so I want to highlight this for everybody. Number one, event coordinators need to be aware of who is signing up, because sometimes people put questions in the notes field, and the event coordinator needs to get back to them to answer the questions. Every single spreadsheet, and again, the details of this are in the handbook, but I want to highlight it. All the spreadsheets in Google give you the option of subscribing to the spreadsheet, and you get an email right away if somebody else submits an answer. Do that, do that, do that. So you're on top of your events. So you know who's signed up and you know if there's questions, okay? Or if somebody signs up wrong, like maybe they sign up twice accidentally and you want to go in and delete one, okay? That's point number one. Subscribe to your spreadsheets. Point number two, if you have an event that has a hard deadline for RSVP, turn off the form afterwards, okay? There is an option in the menu that says disable or stop taking responses, something along those lines. You need to turn it off, because what we've had happen in the past, RSVP deadline comes, we go into Tentaroo and we register with the council. 3 days later, somebody signs up on our form and expects to be going. Now, sometimes we can scramble and get them in. It worked out for the breakfast hike last weekend, but sometimes we just can't, and we don't want to disappoint the families. So make sure to have the form turned off when you're no longer accepting responses. Tied to that, whenever you're setting up an event on the calendar, I should have mentioned this on the calendar slide, we always make 2 calendar entries. The actual event, and then an all-day event of the deadline of sign-up, okay? So if sign-up deadline is October 17th for something, for an event on the 30th, you go in and you make the event for the 30th, and then you go to October 17th and you do an all-day event on the pack calendar that says sign-up deadline for, Halloween parade. That's a silly example. We're not going to block people from coming, but for something like a camp out, something we have to register with council or buy tickets, make sure to have that as an all-day event, and then that all-day event reminds you as the event coordinator to turn off the form after that date. And then people can contact leadership if they really want to try to squeeze in, and we can try to make that work. And the last thing is, it's really, really important to keep the spreadsheet up to date at the day of the event. So for Scouting for Food, another example, when that comes up, boys get service hours for that. If we have people at RSVP that say they're going to show up and they don't show up, it's important that we put a strike through, on your phone, on your tablet, find somebody with a phone, strike it through so we know they signed up but they didn't show. The reason for that is awarding of patches, awarding of hiking miles. We need to know who is actually there at the event, if there's any questions. So it's the event coordinator, or if the event coordinator is not going to the event, they have to get somebody else responsible for making sure that that list is up to date. All right, we're almost done here. Parent handbook. This is for everybody in the entire pack. It includes things like adding the pack calendar, which you'll all need to do. It includes things like getting access to the Google Drive, which we all need to do. So you need to read this as well as the leadership handbook. When you read it, have an eye towards what other information do we want to put in it to make it as useful as possible. Fun, friendship, and memories for scouts and leaders. Thank you guys for volunteering with Pack 44.